Shutter Speed, Episode 2. Today I'm talking about naming of your photography company or business, why it's important, and giving you 5 strategies on how to name your business.
Do you love photography? Are you somebody that wants more out of your photography, to make money from your photography but don't know how to start? Welcome to Shutter Speed. Your host, Peter Szpakowski, will guide you with tips, strategies, interviews, and know-how to start making money to pay for date night, new gear, or start a full-time career with your passion of photography. Let's get this show started. Here's your host, Peter Szpakowski.
Hello everybody and welcome to Shutter Speed. My name is Peter Szpakowski and I am your host. This is my brand new podcast. If you're somebody that loves photography, but you want to either start making money from your photography or you want to start making more money from your photography, this is the podcast for you. If you haven't listened to episode 1 yet, download it and listen to it now. It's all about how I got into photography, and I went from a person just taking pictures as a hobby to making a business out of it. It also talks about how my dreams many years ago came to a crashing halt, and I didn't know what I was going to do at the time, and how photography helped me through that. So if you haven't listened to that yet, go and download that episode. Be sure to subscribe to this podcast because I have a lot of exciting topics coming up that will help you make your goal of whatever dollar amount you want to make from your photography, whether it's enough to pay for a night out, a vacation, new gear, or become your full-time profession. This isn't just for people just starting out making money. It's also to help anybody else already making money from their photography and helping them make more. So be sure to subscribe today. So today we're talking about naming of your business. For years, I used my name for my photography business just like many professionals do. Problem was, my name isn't very easy to spell. It's not very easy to remember. How many people can spell Szpakowski? 99% of the people cannot. So when people would ask for my website or my email address, I would always have to spell out Szpakowski. Well, what if that person lost their paper or the note they took the name down on? What if they went to tell a friend or refer somebody to me? They just verbally couldn't do it, and they absolutely couldn't spell it unless they had that piece of paper. This makes it difficult. This goes for anybody that has a commonly misspelled first name or last name. If you're in this boat like I am, you may want to think about changing the name of your business to something easier and catching for your business name. Name should have meaning. It should have meaning to you. It should have meaning when you can tell a story behind what it means to you and tell people about your business. So before we get to the 5 things to consider when naming your business, let me share my story about my names and how I came up with the name 2mm. The name of my business has taken on many different forms and many different meanings. I've had multiple different businesses over my life. I think of myself as a multi-passionate entrepreneur. Most of my businesses were around coaching, from health and fitness, career transformation, and ultimately ended up being a mindset coach. The name of those businesses were At Peace 360, UFit 360, and those really did not click, but eventually became Make an Impact. But I've also had physical labor businesses or construction type businesses. I first started a lawn service company that was simply Pete's Lawn Care. I was the owner, and it was a very descriptive description of what I offered, but it really wasn't just a guy that did lawn care. It eventually became Grand Slam Lawn Care. Not only did I offer lawn service, but it was Grand Slam Lawn Service. My slogan was, "Let us knock your lawn care out of the park." I had several other physical labor companies, but they eventually fell under the Grand Slam name. Grand Slam Lawn Care, Grand Slam Painting, Grand Slam Construction. You see, people knew exactly what services I was offering by the name. So back to my photography. I went by Peter Szpakowski Photography, Pete's Photography, Peter Szpakowski Photography Studio. Just like Pete's Lawn Care, this was just another guy offering photography of his name. I needed to come up with something that was more catchy, that had people wondering, what was the name? A name where people would ask me what the name of my business means. Just like Grand Slam Services was my parent company to my physical labor companies, what would be the name I used for my creative business? I actually got the name from a story that Tony Robbins tells. Now you can guess my background of being a life coach or mindset coach. I was drawn to Tony Robbins at 17 years old. Tony is one of the best storytellers of all time. Love him or not, he is one of the best storytellers I've ever heard. And it's the way that he tells the story that I loved. It's the way that he told these two stories that I loved, and it was catchy, and it was a reminder to me. If you're familiar with Tony Robbins or have seen any of Tony's events, you may know these two stories of 2mm. So at Tony's event, he talks about having this friend, and his friend is a cosmetic surgeon. Cosmetic surgery is at an all-time high right now. So many people want to adjust their eyes, adjust their nose, adjust their chins, adjust their cheekbones, even adjust their butt, right? As well as other parts of their body they want augmented. But Tony's friend talks about how, Tony, I've got this all figured out. So many people are not happy with a certain feature of their face. Maybe their nose, they want a little bit different. Their eyes, they want a little bit different. To them, they're not happy with it. They might be absolutely beautiful, but they just want to make a slight change to think that they're going to make that feature a little bit better, to make it a little bit more attractive, to make it more perfect. So Tony talks about how this guy has this algorithm, and over all these years, all these cosmetic surgeries that he's done, he came up to the conclusion that most people, when they want something from good enough or pretty good to perfect, it just takes 2mm. 2mm adjustment, 2mm adjustment in the nose, 2mm adjustment in the eyes, whatever it might be. He said, most people want to come in for cosmetic surgery and the change is just a matter of 2mm. 2mm makes all the difference in the world to these people. And it takes them from being something that maybe they're not happy with or something that could be better, and they want to make it perfect. They want to make it outstanding. They want to make it better than it used to be. So he talks about 2mm, and all it takes for somebody to go from great to perfect is 2mm. And that kind of takes us into the next story, which that first story, it didn't hit home to me, right? It didn't hit home. It wasn't like, I'm going to go call my business 2mm because that's what it takes in cosmetic surgery to have the perfect face. No, that's not what I was after. So it wasn't until later on in Tony's conference or Tony's tapes or videos where he talks about these stories, where he talks about 2mm and what does 2mm really mean? It's not cosmetic surgery. It's not having anything to do with people's physical features, but he talks about how being great 5-10 years ago, today when you take it into consideration, it's just good, right? People keep on performing higher. People keep on breaking records. Look at sports, right? People keep on breaking sports, and what might have been a record 50 years ago, really everybody's doing today, right? Look at people running the mile. Right? People are running the mile faster and faster and faster these years. When the first person broke the 4-minute mile, a series of people broke the 4-minute mile, and it just caused a chain reaction. So what was great years ago might not be great today. It might be good. So our standards are improving, right? What does it take to take something from being good to great? It takes a lot of effort, right? It takes a lot of effort to make things go from good to great. You have to put in the time. You have to put in the practice. You have to go above and beyond. And it's like climbing mountains to make that difference, how people compare good and great today. But say if you are doing things that are great, right? How can you take things that are great and make them excellent? How can you take things that people do today that are great and make things excellent? Pro sports players are all great, right? There's just a few people that are like Michael Jordan and others where people have said, oh, they're the best of all time. What does it take them to do that? In most cases, it doesn't take much to go from good to great. You go from good to great by putting just a little bit more effort in, right? A little bit more effort to take something from good to great. What little thing can you do to take your business, to take your sports, to take anything that you do to the next level? It really does not take much. And Tony talks about how it doesn't take much to do things with excellence. It takes 2 millimeter. Right then and there is where it clicked with me. It's like, oh, 2 millimeter, that is great. It wasn't until months later that I realized I wanted to change the name of my business. I wanted to change the name of my photography business to 2 millimeter. It's not just a story that I tell, right? 2 millimeter to me, it's a lifestyle. It's always remembering to put in that little bit of effort that's going to take anything that I do from great to excellent. 2 millimeters, it's a lifestyle. It's treating people better than others. It's taking and putting time into my photography that's going to make me better than others. It's going to be treating people when they come in and have pictures done with me different than the next person. What am I going to do that's above and beyond others to make an impact? Really, the name of my other business. But 2 millimeter to me is just putting in the effort to do things better, treating people better, taking things from pictures or doing pictures better. 2 millimeter to me is just living that lifestyle where you're always out there pursuing better than anybody else. That's how I do business every single day. That's what I do to make things better. That's a story that I can tell somebody. So the 2 millimeter name has really stuck with me. And it's probably one that's not going to change. I'm probably at a point now where this is the name of my business. I am not changing it. It is a lifestyle to me. It's how I live every single day. There's no reason for me to go out and change it. But just like my other business, Grand Slam, where I offered Grand Slam lawn care, Grand Slam painting, Grand Slam construction, I've taken the name 2 millimeter and put some meaning behind it. So I'm 2 millimeter photography studios, 2 millimeter studios, 2 millimeter portraits. My specialty, 2 millimeter headshots, 2 millimeter stock photography, 2 millimeter media. So everything has started with 2 millimeter. And I'm branding anything that I do around this creativity side of my businesses as 2 millimeter. So there needs to be a story. There's so many times that I have people come in and ask, what does your name 2 millimeter mean? I don't tell them the cosmetic surgery story. I just tell them the story behind doing things better than others, right? Putting in that little bit of effort that really makes a difference in somebody's day, to make somebody's day a little bit brighter. I want to just put in that little bit of effort. That's all it takes to really, make somebody's day better. That might be somebody might be having a bad day. And if I just put in that little bit of effort, I could turn around their entire day. I could turn around their entire week. So what are some strategies that you can do when naming your business? I've taken 5 key areas that you really need to focus on when naming your business. This could be photography business. This could be any type of business that you have. But don't use your name for your photography business if your name is commonly misspelled or commonly mispronounced. That's number one. That's probably the biggest one for me, given my last name is Szpakowski, and that's Americanized. The real way is Szpakowski, but a lot of people in the United States can't pronounce it like that. So my dad Americanized it many years ago. But that's number one. Think of a name that's catchy. If you have a first name or a last name that's difficult. Otherwise, like my buddy Peter Hurley, his name's easy to remember. His photography is Peter Hurley. He's got an online community called the Headshot Crew, so that's great. But his name is easy to remember. Number 2, name a business something easy to remember. Even if you go by your name, you may want to brand a portion of your business with a business name. There might be some other area. I talk about having several different streams of income. You may want to have some of those streams of income have a different name or a slightly different slogan for your business. Number 3, your name should be scalable across your niche. Again, I talk about 2mm, right? 2mm is my parent name, but I put it with 2mm headshots, 2mm portraits, 2mm studios, 2mm academy, which this is what this podcast is about. It's an online community helping you create revenue from your love and your passion and your hobby of photography. But I can put 2mm in front of anything and have it do that. Number 4, use your name and secure the name across all your social media platforms you can, not just the ones you use. Like 2mm headshots, 2mm studios, 2mm academy. Those are probably my 3 biggest ones that I use. I make sure I have that secured across LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I even went and secured 2mm Academy with Clubhouse. Even though I haven't started using Clubhouse yet, there is a good likelihood that I want to start using Clubhouse. So I went and secured my business name with Clubhouse. So go out there, and if you do create a name, make sure you secure it across any social media platform that you can think of. You might only use 2 or 3 different social media platforms, but go and secure your business name across all of them. For one, just so other people don't steal it and start using those other social media platforms with your business name. It's your business name. You want to be able to go out there and secure it and use it at any time that you can. And the 5th reason, again, is share your story about your name. Don't just come up with some creative name. Really sit and think about it and come up with something that has meaning to you. I don't care if you've changed your name 5, 10 times already. If it doesn't make sense and you want to change it to something else, go ahead and do that. There's been a lot of major platforms that have rebranded to a different name because over time it just made more sense. It impacted them more. It encouraged the person to go out and really put more effort in their business because their name was giving them a creative spike, right? They were giving them another drive of motivation to really sit down and put their heart and soul into their business. So make sure it's a name that you can share a story. I love telling my story about 2mm and how it's my lifestyle. I do the 2mm lifestyle when I'm exercising, when I'm doing work, when I'm taking pictures, anything that I do, I take the 2mm philosophy and put it into what I do. That's a story I love to tell. And it also, 2mm to people, they think it has something to do with photography because everything's in millimeters, right? 35 millimeter, 50 millimeter, 85 millimeter, 2 millimeter. That's like super small. So people will often ask me, they're like, well, what does 2 millimeter have to do with photography? But, and then I also tell them, I was like, 2 millimeter, to me, it's a lifestyle. It's how I pursue everything that I do. But I also see 2 millimeter when it comes to photography. When I'm taking somebody's headshot, I can turn somebody's head. I can pivot their head up or down. And often from when they're standing there, it takes about 2 millimeter to go from a good headshot to a fantastic, outstanding, unbelievable, best picture of their life headshot. So as this surgeon talks about how he just makes a 2 millimeter change in somebody's nose, lips, or eyes, I can do the same when I'm taking a picture. I can just turn that person just slightly to really make them pop. So I do often include that into my story, not just how 2 millimeter to me is a lifestyle, but how I can pose somebody just slightly different, how I can just move their head just 2 millimeter. And to me and to them, it gives them a better picture of themselves than other photographers do. So I love to tell that story when I'm talking about the 2 millimeter lifestyle and what it means to me. So that's how I include it into my photography business. And that's often some things that people will remember. There's so many times that people I see a year or two later, they either write me an email or I see them somewhere and they know the name of my business just because of the story behind it, right? 2 millimeter. They often remember the story, and that's how they remember my name. So those are the 5 tips to creating a business name for yourself with meaning. Put those 5 strategies to use, especially the last one, where you can create a story behind your name, and you'll notice your business will grow. You will notice people will start to remember you. People will tag you on Instagram with your business name because they remember it, right? It's something that they remember. They remember the story, and that helps people remember the name of your business. So many businesses outside of photography have done the same strategies where they tell a story, especially now, right? Everybody has a story behind their business, and everybody has a story behind the name of their business. So hope you enjoyed today's podcast. I welcome you to go and subscribe to this podcast. This is just episode number 2, but I've produced over 200 different episodes. If you want to check out my other podcasts, I still update them from time to time, but I don't spend much time producing podcasts. I love what I'm doing with the 2 millimeter Academy and helping people make businesses out of their love, their hobby of photography. I love helping people make money from their photography. It's something I absolutely love to do. But my other podcasts are Make an Impact and The Daily Impact. I go and invite you to listen to those. Those are also encouraging mindset, motivational podcasts that will help you when you just don't feel like putting in the effort, when you don't feel like giving that extra 2 millimeter. Go and listen to those podcasts. They will help. I welcome you to come back here every single week. Next week's going to be a great podcast. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm just going to have you come and listen, and it will be released next week. It will be a good one. I look forward to talking to everybody. Thank you for joining me today. Go and check out 2mmstudios.com. My website's not quite up for 2mmacademy.com yet, but I'm working on it. I'm working on that platform. I'm working on producing content for people to help people make money from their love of photography.
Thank you for listening today. We would love to hear from you and would love you to engage with the community. For more tools, tips, and know-how, head over to the 2mm Academy at 2mmstudio.com and join us.